In my 5+ years of making tarts for 5 Nights 5 Tarts, and in my 500 tarts that I've made, I've learned a few things about making tarts. One thing is that baking is an incredibly imprecise art. And baking is messy, and baking is physical labor, okay? So like right now, I'm prying this dough off, and you know what? There's a hole in it. And I'm aware that there's a hole in it, and that's not good that there's a hole in it. But you know what? It's gonna be okay. Because like I said before, this is sort of like clay, and I can take bits from the excess and I can patch it. And that's part of making a tart, because the dough is the most is the sort of crucial phase of making the tart. And how the dough goes is you never know how the dough is going to go. And this dough is actually the remainder dough from another tart that we made earlier, I think the chocolate tart. So I'm going to take this little strip and I'm going to patch it. And I'm going to tap it to merge it just a tiny little bit. As long as your the innards of your tart can't seep through the dough, you're good to go. And of course it helps to, so the face of the shell is not always a pretty thing. This is not very pretty, but luckily you writers don't really seem to care if a tart's pretty. You just care that it's warm and yummy and that there's a lot of whipped cream, right? You're gonna put this in the freezer and chill it for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. If you can't tell by my tears, because I've been chopping onions. This is so much like chopping the apple that we did before, is that you just want the slivers, the very thinnest possible slivers. I use a paring knife. Anyway, in fact, I've already chopped some, and just for fun, I also chopped some shallots. Now this is about 4 large onions and 1 large shallot. Now, if the camera would follow me, there's something very exciting is about to happen in this pan. And these are the moments of drama that I really enjoy while you guys are writing. This is how I amuse myself. There's moments like this when onions meet the hot pan. I pre-baked this tart shell. I put the tin foil and the rice, and I baked it for 15 to 20 minutes. The onions, after sautéing for 20 minutes, cooled in the refrigerator. So all those things were happening at the same time. The shell was pre-baking while the onions were cooling. And now I'm putting the cooled onions into the warm shell. Isn't that a nice mound? I'm going to push them around a little bit. See how abundant it is, overflowing with sautéed onions. Yeah. And this delicious mess I'm going to put in the oven, which is preheated to 375 for 30 to 35. I'm going to check it at 30 minutes. It might cook as long as 40 minutes. And that's our onion tart. Here's our onion tart. It actually took 45 minutes in the oven. I checked it after 30, 35, and then gave it a little more time. The edge of the crust is a golden brown. You see some of them are a little crispy, and some of them are not. And, you know, it took me a long time to make a savory tart because I thought you writers would be so disappointed if it wasn't chocolate or pear or apple or lemon or any kind of fruit. But it was always so touching to me how you were just as grateful and just as appreciative of a savory tart as you have been of all the other tarts. I love to reward writers for writing with a warm tart.